Okay, so y'all were asking about how I make my cat food. So here we go. My main ingredient, chicken thighs. Thighs have the taurine that the cats need. It's muscle meat. I have, right over here, I've got my chicken gizzards, which has lungs and kidneys and all that other stuff in it. I have my liver. This is beef hearts, chicken hearts. Got some sardines, bone powder, ProBios, which gives a little probiotic, and usually I either get herring or a salmon with bones to add a little bit more calcium. For my cats, because I have so many of them, I use the big containers, and one container will be a day's worth of food. Make sure you have your Lysol wipes, because your Lysol you're going to want to clean up. It does get messy. If you're making it just for one cat, you can get these type of containers that can freeze. And of course you can have wine if you're wanting to do that when you make it. Now, I get all my stuff out. I've got my bowl. I've got all my measuring cups, measuring spoons, because I'm going to make this about 80% meat. Hearts are meat. This is meat. About 20% organ. 10% of that's going to be liver. The other 10% is going to be this. And then I want to make sure I have another 10% bone or a calcium. There's going to be eggshells that I've dried out, boiled, dried out again, made into powder, bone powder. The sardines have a good source of calcium, and the bones in the fish do as well. I'm going to go ahead and grind my chicken up, put it in a bowl, and I'll be right back. Okay, so grinding my chicken, I just use a food processor. If you noticed, I just did a pulse to chop, so my chicken is still kind of chunky. That's about 5 breasts in there right now, or 5 thighs, excuse me. And I'll go ahead and put it in this bowl, and I'll do this to every bit of the chicken. Now, you do not have to use a food processor if you're just doing it for 1 or 2 cats. You can always just use a knife and chop. Okay, so now I've got everything kind of ground up. These are all my hearts. If you notice, it's kind of like a ground beef looking. It's beef heart and chicken heart. There is all my chicken, which is a ton. Right here I've got gizzards ground up. I've got liver. Liver is going to be like a really moist, thick, runny, gooey thing. You can chop it if you want. These are my sardines. There's my salmon, my multi-species biotic, and my bone meal. Well, basically how I do this is for every 2 cups of the chicken, I do a 1/2 cup of hearts. I do a 1/3 cup of my gizzards. I do a 1/4 cup of my liver. I do a tablespoon of bone meal, a teaspoon of probiotics, and then I just spoon a little bit of the fish on top, and I'll do that for each one of these. So I'm going to put the 2 cups of chicken in each one of those, but I'm going to do one so you can kind of see how I do it. Trying to do this with my hands, so I'm going to move this over. I apologize if you can't see. I've got 1 cup of chicken and 2 cups of chicken. As you can see, it almost fills up my bowl. Then I'm going to put my 1/4 cup of hearts here. My 1/2 cup of hearts. Actually, it's a 1/2 cup. There we go. I'm going to take my liver right over top. My gizzards right over top. Move this so it doesn't spill, because again, this can get very messy. I take my salmon and my sardines. Now I use herring too, because herring is also good, nice fishy fish. And that just gives it a little more flavor and makes it more palatable for cats. It says about a 1/4 teaspoon per cat per day. And my bone meal. Now the one thing to remember with the hearts are really important, as are the muscle meat with the thigh, because that does give the cats the taurine that they need. Okay. So I'm going to take this goopy mixture and I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to mix it all up and I'll be back. So now you can see it's all mixed up. Got a nice mixture of everything. All I did was take the spoon, stir it all up really good. I'm going to put a lid on it and put it in the freezer. It will stay in the freezer 2 days before I thaw it, and I will just warm it up to room temperature and feed it to the cats, just like that. No cooking needed, and they absolutely love it. So now I have done all of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 containers here. This will be enough to feed the cats for almost a week. 9 cats, so I'm not doing too bad. That used up all the chicken. I've got a little bit of fish left, which I'm going to give them to them as a treat. I'm going to freeze the rest of the liver. The gizzards I can also use as a treat if I would like, and I'm going to freeze the hearts for next time I make my batch. And that is the nuts and bolts of how I make my cat food. Towels are a great idea. It is a very messy process. And the Lysol wipes, of course. And like I said, wine if you'd like. So remember the salmon and the hearts and the gizzards, I said I was going to feed them as a treat. Well, here we are. 2 other ones are running around somewhere. But if you notice, they are just chomping it up. That is from the batch I just made. I warmed it up in the microwave a little bit, make sure it was warm, and they came running. Right, Cleveland?